What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? So, if you clicked on this title thinking I'm about to go down to federal court and file a motion on behalf of R. Kelly, you're going to be sorely disappointed in this video because everybody and their mama should know or ought to know that you cannot file motions on behalf of someone else unless you are a lawyer. And most people that come to my channel, if you're not coming for the first time, everybody knows I'm not a lawyer. Hence the name of my channel, The Non-Lawyer. And I'm not about to go down to federal court and file no motions on behalf of R. Kelly. I suggest that you don't do it either, because if you do, more than likely you're going straight to jail. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean we can't have fun with this, right? My channel is about law, it's about education, and I'm learning things on my channel, and I try to entertain. I'm not, that funny, but I try to be funny, right? So I'm learning things on my channel, and I'm hoping that other people learn things on the channel as well, and I'm hoping that people are educated and entertained by my channel. So with that said, let's just go ahead and get into this, right? So this fantasy motion, because that's all it is, a fantasy make-believe motion, is for the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division, which is basically the federal court in Illinois, right? They have several. This is the Eastern Division, right? So we have the United States versus R. Kelly, or Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, case number 19 CR 567. And we have my make-believe motion to dismiss, right? So we go, now comes Robert Sylvester Kelly through his non-attorney, the non-lawyer, pursuant to Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure 12B3, and this is factual, right? You can use this rule to actually file a motion to dismiss. You have to go and read it, right? We're not going to cover that right now. We're just going to keep it moving because we have a lot to get through. And I basically says that R. Kelly moves this court to dismiss this criminal indictment against him. In support of this motion, R. Kelly makes the following arguments. Argument 1, successive prosecution. R. Kelly alleges that the prosecutors in the 2008 trial failed to have their witness brought into court. The prosecutors in the state trial had many tools available which they could have used to ensure that their witness appeared in court. For example, the prosecutors could have used 215 Illinois Code and Statutes 5, Section 403 to subpoena their witness. And just so you know, this is a factual statute. You can go and look it up. It covers, the subpoena. Like I said, everything that I'm going to give you in this video is factual in terms of like the statutes and the arguments, but everything else is just fantasy, like my actual arguments, right? So anyway, the prosecutors could have used 215 ILCS 5, Section 403 to subpoena their witness. If the witness refused to obey the subpoena, the prosecutors could have used 725 ILCS 5 115-17 to hold the witness in contempt of court and issue a body attachment for said witness. The witness then could have been held in place until it was time to initiate the court proceedings. Moreover, if the prosecutors believe that the witnesses disappeared with the intent to disrupt the courtroom proceedings, then the prosecutors could have used 720 ILCS 5/31-4 to charge the witnesses with obstruction of justice. Now, if you want to know how I came up with all this information, I have a primer video, and that video basically is called Witnesses. What is it called? I can't remember. I think it's called Witnesses, Subpoenas, and Obstruction of Justice. And basically, I go through all these statutes to explain how they could be used, or how the prosecutors could have used them, and how the prosecutors fail. I'll try to put a link at the end of this video for that, or I'll try to put it somewhere up. Maybe it won't be at this particular time. Maybe it'll be at the beginning of the video, but I'll try to put a card so that you can follow all this stuff, right? And that's only for people that are really interested, right? So anyway, just going back a little. Most importantly, the prosecutors could have used 735 ILCS 35 3 to issue a foreign subpoena if the prosecutors believe that the witness left the country. In addition, prosecutors have access to federal statutes, in addition, federal prosecutors have access to federal statutes, which essentially has the same force and effect of the state statutes. RKelly alleges that the prosecution, I got this, you can't see this, but I have this thing in the screen that's basically blocking me from reading. In addition, federal prosecutors have access to federal statutes, which essentially has the same force and effect as the state statute. RKelly alleges, RKelly argues that the prosecutors, I put R. RKelly argues that the prosecutors in the 2008 trial either failed to do their job or they simply did not care. RKelly further argues that the federal prosecutors could have brought their case in 2008, and doing so now should be considered a violation of RKelly's constitutional right against double jeopardy. RKelly further argues that the federal government is attempting to circumvent double jeopardy protection by using the dual sovereignty doctrine, a doctrine which allows both the state and federal government to charge an individual with the same or similar crimes. However, this court should take note that over 20 states have enacted statutes to protect individuals from successive prosecutions. RKelly asked this court to dismiss this case against him because 1, the prosecutors failed to bring their witness to court. 2, the federal prosecutors could have brought their case in 2008. And 3, several states have already enacted statutes banning successive prosecution. So just give you a little bit of background on that. So basically, dual sovereignty is a real thing, so both the state and the federal government and other states can essentially charge you for elements in the same crime or the same transaction. And they are allowed because they're different sovereign. A state is a sovereign, aka a good way to think about it is a state is a king. And basically each king has the right to do whatever they want to do. So the states and the federal government can basically prosecute you for the same thing. However, a lot of states basically recognize this as a cheap loophole, and they say, we're going to go ahead and protect our citizens against uh, double jeopardy or successive prosecutions, and we're going to create statutes which prevent successive or double jeopardy, right? Successive prosecutions of double jeopardy. I know Minnesota is one, and South Dakota is another. There's about 20 of them, right? So, that's real. You can go and look that up. And then we go on to argument 2. This case fails the Blockburger test. RKelly alleges that the federal indictments failed the Blockburger test. This test is derived from the Supreme Court case Blockburger v. United States. In this case, the U.S. Supreme Court set an important standard. Blockburger test is a test in a criminal law which states that a person cannot be tried for lesser and greater crimes using the same evidence in subsequent trials. Under the Blockburger test, the defendant may be convicted of 2 offenses arising out of the same criminal indictment if and only if each crime contains an element not found in the other. Lost my pace here. Okay, the appellate court determines whether each crime contains an element not found in another by examining only the relevant statute, the information in the bill of particulars, and not the evidence presented at trial. Simply put, if the defendant is charged in case 1 with elements A, B, and C, then the defendant cannot later be charged in case 2 with elements B, C, and E, and D, right? So you have one case where the defendant is charged with elements A, B, C, and then the second case is going to use B and C, but it's going to add on elements E and D. And basically, case 2 would have to be dismissed if the new elements E and D cannot stand on their own. In this situation, RKelly is being charged with a conspiracy to defraud the United States. However, while this is a new charge, it cannot stand on its own without the elements in the 2008 state case. R. Kelly asks that this honorable court to dismiss his case against him because it does not pass the Blockburger test. The prosecutors will have to raise the elements in the 2008 case in order to prove their claim that R. Kelly conspired to deprive the United States. I'm sorry, to conspire to defraud, not deprive. Um, Let me read this again. The prosecutors will have to raise the elements in 2008 case in order to prove that their claim that R. Kelly conspired to defraud the United States. A little typo there. And then argument 3, this case violates Department of Justice policy, right? R. Kelly argues that this case violates the Department of Justice policy 9-2.031, dual and successive prosecution policy, or the petite policy, which states this policy establishes guidelines for exercise of discretion by appropriate officers of the Department of Justice in determining whether to bring a federal prosecution based on substantially the same acts or transactions involved in a prior state or federal proceeding. See Rinaldi v. United States and Petite v. United States. Although there is no general statute bar to a federal prosecution where the defendant's conduct already has formed the basis for a state prosecution, Congress has expressly provided that as to certain offenses, a state judgment of conviction or acquittal on the merits shall be a bar to any subsequent federal prosecution for the same act or acts. Right? So this is coming from the federal government. So this is their policy, the Department of Justice, and they're basically saying, in general, they don't bring a case against a defendant where he's already been tried in a state case, and it doesn't matter if he's been acquitted, and it doesn't matter if he's been convicted. The only thing that matters is that it involves the same transaction and it was already brought in the state. Excuse me. I'm sorry you're going to get this cough in this video because I'm not going to edit this, right? Editing just takes so much time, and it just makes it harder to push out videos, and that's why I haven't been pushing out a lot of videos. So, but anyway, this is the policy of the federal government. So I'm thinking, how in the world can they have this policy and then turn around and basically, bring these charges against this man? I honestly think it's political. I think it's vindictive. And I think that, there was an agreement. Damn. I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden. But I think this is the result of some type of conspiracy. But I can't, prove that. I have no proof. I have no evidence. If you have proof, or even if you have a theory, go ahead and leave your comments below. I want to hear from you. But anyway, it goes on. The purpose of this policy is to vindicate substantial federal interests through appropriate federal prosecutions to protect persons charged with criminal conduct from their burdens associated with multiple prosecutions and punishment for substantially the same acts or transactions, to promote efficient utilization of department resources, and to promote coordination and cooperation between federal and state prosecutors. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that the federal case in Illinois is a efficient use of the federal government's resources? I mean, just be honest, right? The federal government can be off, doing different things. I've always said that I just think, R. Kelly beat the 2008 trial. And, this thing now is really just a witch hunt. And all these people coming out now are basically piggybacking off the 2008 trial to make claims, when if they tried to make their claims just on their own, their claims would just basically fail. I mean, it wouldn't really get far because your claims don't really hold mustard. But because this man has had these accusations held against him in 2008, you trying to drag up all this old nonsense so you can substantiate your bogus claim. And again, I don't bash victims, and I believe that women should be protected. But I believe a lot of these claims against R. Kelly are bogus if they stand on their own. But what they're doing is that they're dragging up this 2008 stuff, which he's already beat. And I think this conspiracy to defraud the United States is just another reiteration of that, right? So anyway, this policy precludes the initiation or continuation of a federal prosecution following a prior state or federal prosecution based on substantially the same acts or transaction. And people keep saying, well, these are new charges or these charges went in 2008. It doesn't matter. It's still double jeopardy, but you can't call it double jeopardy because they have a loophole for double jeopardy. So it's called successive prosecution. So if you could have brought these same charges in 2008 or some of these same charges in 2008, then that case should have been made in 2008. You can't just make up new charges to get a person in court. That is unlawful. And I said this before. There's a lot of dirty, underhanded stuff going on where they're trying to drag up old stuff so they can essentially nail this guy. And it's unlawful. And whether you believe R. Kelly is innocent or guilty, you should not, as a citizen, if you're a citizen of the United States, you shouldn't allow people to get away with this type of stuff because this is dirty. And if they can do it to R. Kelly, a multi-millionaire, right? Who had resources or still has resources, I don't know. Then they can easily do it to you and me, who has little or nothing, right? They can just basically steamroll over us with this type of nonsense, right? So again, it doesn't matter if they're bringing new charges. The only thing that matters is that it's out of the same acts or transactions in the 2008 trial, right? Then it goes on to say, in order to ensure the most efficient use of law enforcement resources, whenever a matter involves overlapping federal and state jurisdiction, federal prosecutors, I'm sorry, federal prosecutors should, as soon as possible, consult with their state counterparts to determine the most appropriate single forum and which to proceed to satisfy the substantial federal and state interests involved, and if possible, to resolve all criminal liabilities for the acts in question. R. Kelly argues that this case must be dismissed because all relevant information was available to both the state and federal prosecutors in 2008, and the state and federal prosecutors could have chosen to bring all relevant charges in one case and in one forum in 2008. Wherefore, R. Kelly prays that this case is dismissed or any other remedy that this court can provide. Right? So let me know. Sorry, I know that sounds horrible. Let me know what you think about this, right? Let me know what you think about this motion. Do you think that R. Kelly's lawyers should bring a similar motion? I've always said that they are going to try to get that case dismissed. And also, the Illinois federal claim, in my opinion, is also a double jeopardy situation or a successive prosecution situation, because you have the case in New York, the federal case in New York, and you have the federal court case in Illinois. Those two cases should be consolidated, right? It should be consolidated so that you can bring all these charges in one forum. But again, this is the dirty stuff that prosecutors like to do when they really want to make sure you don't have a chance of winning, is that they are going to use a strategy where they're going to try to wear you down. They have one case all the way out in New York, and then they have another case in Chicago. So now, this man has to go and hire lawyers in New York and Chicago, and he's going to have to use his resources to basically fight both of these cases when it would have been so easy just to bundle all this stuff up in one federal case and put all those claims in one federal case, and then R. Kelly wouldn't have had to hire all these lawyers to basically handle one case, because that's all it is. It's really just one case. But these sneaky devils, they have separated the cases in order to, as a strategy, to wear him down, right? To eat up his resources and to wear him down. That's what I believe, right? And don't get it twisted. I don't have anything against the federal government or federal prosecutors. I'm going to throw that out there now. It may seem like it because I'm making a lot of motions. Well, not motions. I'm making a lot of videos about or against federal prosecutors and things like that. We need a federal government. We need state government. We need a police. Without police, without federal government, without state government, we would basically be a third world country, right? There's no way that you can get by without government. And if you didn't have a government, you would have. There's no way you can get away without government. You would still have a government. You'd probably be calling to something else, but you need someone to basically handle the day-to-day affairs of the people so that you can be freed up to do what you want to do in life. Imagine not having a government. You'd have to walk out your door every day with a bazooka and an AK-47, and you'd have to worry about you constantly somebody, raping, stealing, and robbing you. Life would just be pretty shitty without state and federal government, right? So that's it for this video. If you like the video, please share it, because like I told you guys, I actually lost my Twitter account for whatever reason. Twitter actually didn't ban me. They want me to give up a phone number, and I'm not trying to give you all that information, right? So I don't have Twitter for now. So I'm relying on you guys to share this video, because I used to share my videos on Twitter, and that's how I used to disseminate a lot of my videos, but I don't have that anymore. So I ask that if you like this video, if you like the channel, just share, share the videos, subscribe. Even if you don't subscribe, you don't have to subscribe. Just share the video if you like it. I want to know what you think about, this fantasy motion. Again, I'm not going down to federal court to file anything on behalf of R. Kelly. If you clicked on that thinking that I would, then I'm sorry. You just fell victim to clickbait. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about that. I just wanted to word the title in a way that would, get a lot of people. So, yeah, I'm guilty of clickbait if you really want to believe that, right? So let me know what you think about this motion. Was it on point? Do you think R. Kelly's lawyers should file something similar? Or do you think I'm just, nuts or whatever, which in case I probably am a little nuts. But again, I like reading stuff like this, and I like presenting stuff like this over YouTube. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.